Hey everybody, Jim Sammons here, and welcome to the Kayak Fishing Show live. As always, brought to you by Ballast Point Brewing Company. I would be having one today, actually, except my stinking refrigerator broke, and had to empty my beer fridge and put all the inside food in the beer fridge until we get this thing all fixed up. So, actually, was able to put it back in the fridge a little bit ago, but I have no cold beer. So it's a crying shame. Thanks everybody for joining us here today. And always, if you are new to this, every Tuesday and Thursday, we broadcast older episodes of the Kayak Fishing Show with live commentary, question and answers. So if you guys have any questions about the location, anything else regarding kayak fishing, always happy to answer those questions. For me, this is just kind of looking back at old trips that I did many years ago. This one was like from 2014, I believe. So a while ago. I'm having a hard time actually remembering this trip. I know it was with my good friend Damon Bungard, who was with Jackson Kayak at the time. But before we get going, like I said, we do this every Tuesday and Thursday. So please, if you can, share it with your friends. Liam Young, how you doing? Share it with your friends. Give us the thumbs up. All that stuff, it really helps expand the reach. This coming Thursday's episode is part 2 of our trip down to Mazatlan Anglers Inn. So we do some largemouth bass fishing at El Salto. And then we also do some fishing for rooster fish off the beach. So really cool place. I talked about it in the episode the other day. Amazing, absolutely amazing customer service at this place. They do it right. Couple people checking in here. Yeah, Jim, that it is tragic. Warm beer. It's horrible. Zach, how you doing, man? Hope things are good up there in Central California. You getting out doing any crabbing off your kayak up there? Facebook user from El Salvador. Thanks for joining us from the Kayak Fishing Show group page. And Antonio Zapata, thanks for joining us as always. My good friend Ulf Johansson, I know it's well past your bedtime in Sweden. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. And Jamie Schmidt from New South Wales, Australia. Again, thanks for joining us. I really do appreciate that. A couple things again before we get going. If you didn't see the last episode, I talked a lot about the kayak safety and lights. So if you didn't see that, maybe take a look at it. If you're going to be fishing at night, make sure you are well lit up and you can be seen, because we were out on our boat and there was a lot of kayakers out and they were invisible. Also, anybody who's been in the kayaking industry, particularly here in California, West Coast anyway, a good friend from the industry was a rep for Ocean Kayak for a long time, had a rep his own business. Jim Ramey passed away. So this week. So our thoughts go out to him and his family. He was a super great guy. And I always looked forward to seeing him at all the trade shows every year. So, of course, did not see him at any trade shows this year because we can't go anywhere. I don't know what it's like where you guys are, but California just went backwards and everything shut down again. Restaurants, gyms, not that I'm going to the gym, but, everything shut down to only outside stuff. It's just ridiculous if you ask me, but, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Antonio Cabanas, where is this? Who's your bass and vet, new here, but going to be catching up on past episodes? Yeah, we're having fun with this. We've got 11 years on the air, 13 episodes a year. So we've got a lot of old episodes that we're going through. And like I said, I really enjoy this because it gives me a chance to relive past episodes and past adventures with friends, and a lot of times it gives me a chance to catch up with them. We'll get them on here as a guest. Damon Bungard, like I said, was a guest on this shoot. I couldn't get him on here today, but he used to be with Ocean Kayak. With Jackson Kayak. He is no longer with Jackson. Oh, Antonio over with Omar Araca. Yeah, my good friend in Puerto Rico. I love Puerto Rico, and I'm dying to get back. Jim Riley, building a kayak fishing website and looking forward to a new old episode. Yeah, new old. Oh, okay, Antonio. The little house. You had the pier out there. We got some tarpon right there in front of it. Very, very cool area. Okay, thanks for the reminder. I'm like I said, terrible memory. I'm old. So Dave Massengale, hey Jim, went to Lake Skinner yesterday. Beautiful day, but I got skunked. Well, skunks are going to happen. Did you guys happen to see, and Dave, you kind of reminded me because I know you had looked at it. Did you guys see the video I posted earlier? It's a little grainy. It's not the clearest thing in the world, but super cool video. Somebody fishing, you see their line going up and down, and a pike just coming in and just destroying one of the fish that is looking at the bait. Just sucks it up. It's super cool. How it's I think they had one of those underwater cameras. I don't remember what they're called. But anyway, had this perfect angle, and you can just see this pike up in the top corner, and you see it just come down and just suck up this perch or whatever it is. So it is really cool to see. So if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend it. It's on the Kayak Fishing Show Facebook page. I know some people are watching here on our YouTube channel. Some people are watching on the group page, but it's on the actual show page. Yeah, Dave, that pike video was sick. It was really cool. Just the fact that they were able to get that, set it up, and actually get the shot. I'm sure it took a while. But it's really cool because, like I said, you just see the pike sitting up in the upper corner. He's kind of angled down and just watching. And then just boom, and comes right at the camera. So, like I said, if you haven't seen it, go to the show Facebook page and check it out. It's all of 11 seconds long, I think. But it's super cool. So anyway, today's episode, I said, is in Levy County, Florida. You can see a picture from that episode is right behind me. Those are roseate spoonbills. Very beautiful, beautiful bird. And that was one of the really cool things about this destination. You really could have forgotten all about the fishing and just enjoyed the paddling and the nature. I saw things I'd never seen before there. I did catch some fish I'd never caught there before. This was the first time I'd ever caught a black drum. First time I'd ever caught like a long-nosed gar. We caught snook. But like I said, it just the paddling through the area, it was so beautiful. And also I'd seen something I'd never seen before was a pod of dolphin in this river system that kind of herded a bunch of mullet into this little pocket along the side of the river. I don't know if it got on video. I got some shots on my still camera. Excuse me. And like I said, they were herding these mullet into this pocket. And so the mullet, of course, they jump like crazy, and they get pushed up against the side, and then they start jumping. And the dolphin were just sitting back away from it. The mullet would come up to the side and then jump back out. And so I have photos of the dolphin just sitting with their mouths open, just waiting for these mullet to jump back towards them. Super cool experience that I'd never seen before. The way they cooperated and herded this school and got them so they could feed. It was really, really neat. And like I said, that was one of the coolest things about this whole location to me, was the nature of it. So we're going to get right to it. Bring it up here. And again, if you have any questions or comments, please, throw them our way and give us that thumbs up. And please, I always ask if you can share this with your friends. If you know anybody who's interested in kayak fishing or just nature and that sort of thing, please share it. It really helps us and keeps us able to keep doing this. Eventually I'm actually going to be able to go out and start shooting new episodes. I don't know when, but someday we'll get back to it. So with no further ado, let's get this episode rolling. This week on the Kayak Fishing Show, I'm in Levy County, Florida. I'm with Damon Bungard from Jackson Kayak. Together, we're chasing tarpon. I'm going to pause that. It looks terrible. I don't know why it's so grainy. Give me 1 second. It says it's HD, but I'm just going to... Let's see if we can clean that picture up a little bit, because that looked really, really grainy. Even catching gar, having a great time down here. That looks a little better. It'll be a great show. Word to the wise, if your mama ain't taught you. Don't stand in front of a man and a fish he ain't caught yet. Honey, if the world calls me, tell him I'm fishing. I'm going fishing. Where am I headed? Where am I headed? Where am I headed? Wouldn't you like to? Where am I headed? Where am I headed? Where am I headed? Wouldn't you like to know? Fishing. I'm going fishing.
Jackson Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you by Jackson Kayak. One family, many waters. Body Glove Footwear, featuring the new 3T Barefoot Water Shoe. Standard Horizon. Nothing takes to the water like Standard Horizon. Yak Attack. For kayak fishermen, by kayak fishermen. Power Pole Micro Anchor. Swift, silent, secure, and small. And Hook One. Everything you need to get out there and hook one. This week on Jackson Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show, Jim is headed to Levy County, Florida, fishing the rivers and flats of Yankeetown for reds, trout, and big black drum. Joining him this week is Damon Bungard, product manager at Jackson Kayak.
So my kayaking career, started in college with whitewater kayaking with Eric Jackson on the team he was with at the time. And definitely, I grew up fishing, but fishing from a kayak didn't really take its focus in my life till about, 10 years ago, when I started kayak fishing again from a kayak quite a bit more. And, whitewater kayaking and kayak fishing share a lot of similarities in that they're both still, if you're sitting at the top of a rapid or you're looking at a fish or trying to figure out where that fish is hiding and how to catch them, it's still problem solving. So it's very similar in that respect. You have a whitewater rapid, how do I get down it? This is the problem I have to solve. Kayak fishing is how do I get them on and how do I land them in my kayak? So very, very similar aspects.
After arriving at their home this week, a comfy rental suite at local Bees Marina and Campground, the guys set up their X-Venture trailer so they can get to work rigging up the kayaks in comfort. Their guide this week is Captain Rick LaFiles from Osprey Guide Service. Captain Rick is a veteran guide for these local waters and is both an eco-tour and certified fly guide.
We're located about 75 miles north of Tampa, and it's all shallow water fishing for that. As far as that goes, the water only drops off about a foot per mile here. The river has some unique qualities. Being a land-fed river, it's a manatee zone during the spring and the summer versus Crystal River and Homosassa that are spring-fed and they're cold year-round, so the manatees come in here. So we have to idle all the way out about 3 miles every day to get into the Gulf, but we don't mind because it's such beautiful scenery. You have a little creek coming back up that you can take as an option instead of coming back up the river. It has roseate spoonbills on it, wood storks, alligators, a lot of wildlife, plant life, and just a beautiful area in general. The fishing is fantastic. You can run up north of here almost to a little town called Cedar Key, or you can run south down toward Crystal River, and all shallow water flats fishing usually.
Pre-rigged and ready to fish. It doesn't take long before the guys are ready to hit the water, and they have just enough time to drop some bait right by the docks at the marina to see if a tarpon or big gar is hiding under the old shrimp trawlers.
You know, I got a couple new species on this trip. I got a Florida Long-Nosed Gar, so that was cool. You know, we were fishing for tarpon, and we got this bycatch of a big gar. And people talk about these things being trash fish, but you know what? That fish pulled hard. It was a lot of fun.
Stay tuned. When we come back, the guys paddled the Withlacoochee River to cast for reds and snook as their Levy County adventure continues. The Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Jackson Kayak. One family, many waters. Learn more at jacksonkayak.com.
So that little segment there, catching the gar, that was something we had done in the evenings. And, you know, we were hoping for maybe a tarpon in that area. But the thing is, you could see I was jacket covered up, face covered up, and that was because of the bugs. Excuse me. The no-see-ums were like I've never had them before. I mean, if you've never dealt with no-see-ums, you know, they're tiny, 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 and they bite the crap out of you. And so you had the buff on, but anything that wasn't covered, they were going to get on. And they would crawl. It was usually at nighttime or in the evening. And you literally could have, we sat there each evening and tried to fish, and you could handle it for about 20 minutes. By the end of 20 minutes, you were going crazy because these things were like getting behind your glasses, and they'd just like start gnawing on your eyeballs. And, you know, they were terrible, terrible. You know, it's like, it's one thing for mosquitoes because at least those are big enough, and but these no-see-ums are just getting everywhere. It doesn't matter what you covered up with. You know, I had bites underneath my watch band, just terrible little critters, those no-see-ums. So we had a couple comments here. Well, it says we have comments and I don't see any. That's weird. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, like I said, absolutely beautiful place. But just for that evening getting dark, for that short period of time, I mean, it wasn't all day when you're out there on the river and out in the flats, no problem. But it was that evening time when we were trying to fish each evening, we would just get destroyed by the no-see-ums. So anyway, let's keep her rolling.
Fishing Show is brought to you by Standard Horizon. Nothing takes to the water like Standard Horizon. Welcome back. This week, Jim Sammons is joined by Damon Bungard, product manager at Jackson Kayak. The guys are fishing the Withlacoochee River in Levy County, Florida, fishing for just about whatever the fish-filled waters choose to offer.
So we're down here on the northern Gulf Coast of Florida, in Levy, Florida, Yankeetown, Florida. And this is a very rural area, very pristine, jungle-like surroundings. Leading out in the river here from town into the Gulf is, you could be in the Amazon. There's incredible wildlife. You have manatees, you have spoonbills, various fish right in the river, tarpon rolling right here in the river. Then you get in the Gulf and it opens up. So we're down here trying to find tarpon, jacks, redfish, snook, a lot of different variety of fish here. Some moving into the fresh water, coming out of the river, some more on the salt in the Gulf. So a lot of different things going on. Very interesting place to come fish.
Levy County, Florida is a place apart from the rest of the...
Pause that for 1 second. Those are another one. Those sail cats. If you never caught them, you don't want to. They're a nasty little critter. They somehow manage, the fish might be this big, they somehow manage to get slime on like 4 feet of your leader. They're just nasty critters. Don't like catching those, particularly when they're just stealing your baits or whatever.
Hustle and bustle of Florida State, with large areas of untouched natural waterways teeming with local wildlife, the region has become known as Florida's natural paradise.
The coolest parts of the trip had nothing to do with the fishing. You know, we saw these spoonbills, which are absolutely gorgeous birds. And I mean, hundreds of them. You know, if you wanted to come here and have a great time and not fish, you could. You could come here and just paddle these waters and see alligators, manatee, more birds than you could ever imagine. The diversity of bird life is incredible. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful place to paddle.
The reason we love it here so much is because there's very little traffic. It's a little bit of what's left of old Florida, and the trees and the plant life and the wildlife are all very natural. Even along the main street here, it's pretty much a natural environment. It's just a beautiful, beautiful environment. Nothing really compares to it in this area.
Incredible fishing, jungles teeming with local wildlife, and amazing paddling opportunities makes Levy, Florida the perfect getaway for an avid angler or outdoorsman searching for an adventure right out their back door.
A little bit better fish. Beautiful fish. My best fish on the trip so far. Got it on the all-pro rod, little my trusty Sebile stick shad. It's worked for me on pike last week, and it's worked for me on snook and other stuff today. So well, that made my day. Whoa! Like that? Didn't want to let go of my thumb. Here you go. There he went.
Nope, he's still on. The little Jack. Ah, Jack. He's a tiny guy.
I did a variety of fishing here in Florida, and everything from throwing topwater to subsurface to the popping cork. And for that setup, what I like is a little bit more backbone of a rod. It's going to toss those lures a little bit better, and then when a fish hits it, I can really drive the hook home. The rod I was using is the APR APX Graphite, and this is basically a swim bait rod. It throws those heavier lures really well, but it also gives your lures great action. The reel I was using was an Abu Garcia Revo inshore. It's just a really nice, solid reel for the salt water. It picks up line very quickly and is just a dream to cast. I have that loaded up with Seaguar Kansan 30-pound braid. I would vary the leader size by what we were doing, whether I was throwing the larger lures or the popping cork or whatever. So just changing to different gauges of Seaguar fluorocarbon leader. That's what I was using for the most of the time while here in Florida. Check it out.
Stay tuned. When we come back, Jim and Damon head out of the mouth of the Withlacoochee and start fishing the flats for red drum and trout, all while getting regular visits from the locals. Jackson Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Hook One. Everything you need to get out there and hook one.
So we had a couple more comments here. Zach, cool when a bycatch is a rad new species like Long-Nosed Gar. Yeah, I love catching new species, and that's one of the things that I've been very lucky in the fact in all my travels around the world, I've caught a lot of different species off my kayak, and it's so amazing. And actually, Zach followed that up with, there's so many different species I want to catch in Florida. Yeah, there really are. Although, I certainly have not had a lot of luck fishing Florida weather-wise. I know even on this one, we had to deal with a lot of rain and wind. But Florida historically has not been that kind to me weather-wise. You know, I've sat through hurricanes, I've sat through tropical depressions. It's a tough one. I know what I always say about Florida is basically if you live there and you can go on the good days, you know, you can go whenever you want to go. That's one thing. But when you plan a trip a year in advance and then you go, you can have your trip ruined. And we've had quite a few of them ruined in Florida. So just like I said, just my luck, the way it works there. Douglas, good night. How are you? And then we have Harry Franco saying good morning. Obviously in different parts of the world. It's 2:30 p.m. my time in here in San Diego. Pamela, thanks for joining us. Let me know next time you come to Southeast Florida. I'm assuming that's what that means. I will. I'd love to see you again. It's been a long time. I want to go anywhere. Like I said, I would love to go anywhere at this point. Even if Florida has not been kind to me, I would go there right now just because I want to go somewhere. Although I had a friend just went down to the Keys with a group of friends and all of them got COVID. So, yeah. Don't come between July and November. Good to know. Although we've had just in general so many hurricanes and crazy weather right now this year. I mean, that big one that just went through Nicaragua and just crazy year. Everything about this year. Keep her rolling.
Jackson Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Power Pole Micro Anchor. Swift, silent, secure, and small. Welcome back. Today, Jim Sammons and Damon Bungard are fishing with Osprey Guide Services out of Levy County, Florida. They spent yesterday probing the Withlacoochee River for snook and jacks, and now have paddled out to the Gulf to see if the redfish or trout will come out to play.
Floating a big flat, trying to find a cobia, a trout, whatever he wants to eat. Gonna be stripping a fly and drifting a bait, double timing.
Well, we're soaking some of these pinfish. We saw some working birds, so we paddled up here to get a little bit closer to them. And I just got hit. My bait got bit in half, maybe a mackerel. And then I saw some greyhounding bait as well. So definitely a little more feeding activity going on here.
So our guide on this journey so far has been Rick at Osprey Guide Service, Orbis endorsed guide here in Levy, knows the waters quite well. So we've been hitting the spots. The fishes haven't been agreeing yet. So the weather's been holding them down. So we have confidence that Rick's going to put us on the fish and get our lures in their mouths.
Okay, the way you're going to want to hook your shrimp is you want to avoid the head, mainly because that's all of his vital organs, and some of them are still alive after spending the night in the cooler. But the head, if you hook him there, will come off very easy. So what you want to do is you want to hook him in a section of the shell, preferably past dead center toward the rear. You don't want to get in one of these little joints, but hook him right through the shell. He'll stay on a little longer that way. And then when you pull him or pop the cork, he's going to pull this way. They swim in reverse, so it does look like a natural movement when you're popping him.
So as well as throwing lures, we're also going to soak some baits. And hopefully we hook into something good. Beautiful blue tail.
Little baby red.
All right. Yeah, nice jack.
There we go. Boy, his tail is gnarled up.
Little trout.
This week on the Kayak Fishing Show here in Florida, I'm using the Jackson Kayak Big Rig. Now, I'll tell you what, the Big Rig was a awesome platform for fishing the flats, but combined with the power pole, this thing was the ultimate fishing platform for these waters.
So the Big Rig was our new kind of flagship model for this year, designed really around the people who are intimidated for stand-up fishing. The Big Rig is extremely stable and feature laden. It took all the best features of all of our kayaks, kind of blended them into one new model.
If you want a stand-up platform that is gonna take you where you want to go, you can fight fish. I was fighting big fish on this thing standing up, something I never thought I would do. It is just a rock solid, stable, great platform for kayak fishing.
My fishing kayak of choice for this trip is a Jackson Kayak Kilroy, which also happens to be my choice for just about every condition that I fish. The only time it is a sit-inside style kayak, so it's really not well suited to rough offshore type conditions, but for flats fishing, for inshore fishing, it's still ideal. It is extremely stable. What I like most about it is it has organization for everything. All my fly boxes, all my tackle, all my tools are up and out of the way, and I have a nice open area for stripping my fly line. And this trip, we're actually, as part of my job, testing a new adapter plate from Yak Attack for the new power pole system, which has proved to be an extremely helpful tool in this type of fishing. The power pole micro anchor lets you, while you're standing, while you're looking for your target, as soon as you see it, you can just press the little down button on your remote, stop yourself. There's no anchor to toss. You can hold your position quietly and securely and quickly get your fly where you want it to go. So testing that on this journey on the Kilroy, we had an adapter plate, and Jim's using one standard on the Big Rig he's been paddling.
With the wind picking up and storms on the forecast, the guys paddle in. Time to rinse down the gear and prepare for whatever tomorrow may bring.
Well, this is what happens when you go on location with the Kayak Fishing Show. 3 days straight of this.
When we come back, Jim and Damon hide from the rain, and with fresh water comes new fishing opportunities.
It makes going kayak fishing a little bit difficult.
Jackson Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by DeLorme InReach. Follow Jim Sammons' Big Game Adventure live with DeLorme InReach at Kayak Fishing Show.
Yeah, like I said, Florida has never been kind to me. We had 3 days of pouring rain. Still an amazing place. I mean, like I said, I absolutely loved this area for the paddling as much as anything else. Damon was just talking about the power pole. Like I said, I was on a Big Rig, which, I mean, you don't want to have to paddle that thing a long way. But, you know, we were drifting down a tidal river and not having to paddle a ton. I mean, it's fine. It's just not the paddling boat that I'm used to. I'm used to longer, faster boats. But if you want standability for sight casting, just ridiculous. I've actually caught tarpon standing up on that thing. It's just it's just such a stable platform. And then combined with the power pole, what we were doing on this, we were getting kind of pushed by the wind. So we would set up and then drift downwind where we knew there was some oyster beds and that sort of thing. And you're looking for these either for redfish or the trout or the black drum, and you'd look for them feeding. And if you'd see them, you'd just hit the remote on the power pole and it would just stick you down. And then you could get a really nice presentation. It worked great. You know, for me, for, you know, the offshore stuff, you know, obviously they don't make a 100-foot power pole, but when you're fishing the flats, if I was fishing the flats all the time, I would definitely have a power pole on my kayak. They're just that good to help you with that sight casting. See, we had a couple comments here. W. Passmore, it's about time to get up the rivers in St. Mark's. Yes, that's what I was just saying, Zach. The Big Rig is crazy stable. It is. I mean, I could be offshore and stand on that thing. I can put all my weight on one side and stand on it. It's that stable. So you want a super stable fishing platform. And now, of course, they have the Big Rig with the FD with the pedals. Not as big of an issue, you know, having to paddle it. Zach, I need a power pole for the new kayak. Thanks for reminding me. I actually had one, and because it got sent to me here and I found it on my shelf, it had been sitting there for 2 years because I just have no use for it here in San Diego. So I put it up for sale, and then Wes Siegler contacted me and said he wanted it. So I ended up just sending it to him in exchange for reels. So yeah, like I said, if you fish skinny water, flats, all that, it is a wonderful, wonderful tool. There is no doubt about it. What's that? Zach, my buddy tried to flip his big rig and couldn't. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. You end up falling off before you can actually flip it. They're pretty amazing.
.com.
Let's keep this thing rolling. Get through this commercial break.
Fishing Show is brought to you by Seagar, always the best in fluorocarbon, braid, and monofilament fishing line. This week, we're fishing in Levy County, Florida, from Bees Campground and Marina in Yankeetown. So far, Jim and Damon have been stunned by the local wildlife, getting a chance to paddle with manatee, dolphins,
look at all those
local
rosettes
spoonbills,
there.
and
Just...
even spot a few big crocs. The morning proves wet and rainy, but finally the system passes, and the guys head out to cast for some big black drum.
I've had quite a bit of rain and such for the last couple days, and then woke up this morning to a pretty good thunderstorm. So don't really want to be out in the water in that. So kind of hung out, caught up on some work, and now according to the radar, it's passed. It was still raining a little bit on our way out here, but it seems to have passed, and so we're just going to try for a few hours and try and get on a good evening bite today.
They got lockjaw.
I swam right at it and then turned.
Think they got some lockjaw.
So we were out there fishing for black drum. They were a little bit frustrating because we would cast on them, and you were trying to get the cast with these shrimp, right in front of their face.
Dude, swam right over it.
I've got so many fish right here. Oh! I popped mine loose of a rock, and Big came up and just chased it up and missed it. Sometimes you'd cast a line over their back and you'd spook them. Sometimes you get a little too close. Sometimes you threw it at their tail. So it was a little bit tough. There was a little bit of a learning curve really on trying to figure it out. I changed the rigging up to a way that I was a little bit more comfortable with. We were doing just putting shrimp on a lead head, which I didn't feel was giving me the better presentation. So I switched it up to a small leader with a sliding egg sinker. So I'd get that weight down and get the shrimp just up a little bit.
So here we are. Tying into, could be a long fight here. So I'm gonna release that power pole now, slide away, and let the kayak do the fighting for me. I'm a little underpowered with this rod, so.
I'm going to pause it right there for 1 second so I can call out Damon. I don't know if you notice as he's moving away, there's a rod holder on his right that is laying kind of flat. That had one of my rods in it. And he knocked it down and didn't realize it and lost one of my rods during this little segment here. It appears that he had lost it before. This guy didn't see the rod in it, but yeah, Damon owes me a rod still from that 6 years ago. So just thought I'd share. So if any of you guys know Damon Bungard, you can give him a hard time.
I'm gonna use the drag of the kayak to fight this fish and wear him out even faster. But they're the black drum, not the red drum. Woo! See you later, pal.
And that worked for me today, and I saw those fish.
Right on.
And it is so cool because you see them, and you know if they're going for your bait because all of a sudden they tilt down and you see that tail up out of the water, or just see the flash of their tail higher in the water column. your adrenaline gets going a little bit, and you're just waiting and waiting. It starts to peel off.
So frustrating when you see these fish feeding and you try to get a cast in just the right spot. Here we go. A new species, black drum. First time I've ever caught one of these.
And man, when they hit, it was a solid run. I mean, it's not like they're ripping and hitting it and your lure stops or your bait just stops. It's they pick it up and start to run with it. But once you put that reel in gear and that circle hook goes into the corner of the mouth, man, those fish pulled really, really hard.
And when it gets to this part of the game, I'll pinch my line with my thumb down to the grip so I can get a little bit more pressure. And then if he runs like that, I know I can just let go of it.
Now, I, on this trip, had my very first experience of landing a fish standing up in the kayak. And that was a snook that was, yay big, nothing huge. And I tell you, I never believed that I'd be able to fight, a 30-pound fish like the black drum I got today while standing up. And that was absolutely a hoot. You having to dip the rod down low to keep yourself from snapping off your rod and letting that thing spin you around. It was so much fun. I mean, I can't even tell you. I got to try that again on some more big fish. I'm thinking about this, like rooster fish standing up, marlin standing up. It's that big rig is such a great stand-up platform.
Go. Pretty fish. Just like that, kicks and swims away.
I do a lot of fishing in a variety of waters. Just for instance, last week I was up in Sweden dropping an anchor to hold our position in shallow water in heavy wind. I'll be honest with you, it was a little bit difficult. Just a few days later, I'm down here in Florida and I've had the chance to use the new micro anchor from Power Pole. I'll tell you right now, I love this thing. It is so easy. It's so fast. It's so quiet. Some of the cool things about the Power Pole is that, A, it's really quiet. So when you're dropping it down, it's not going to be spooking the fish. It's also super easy to remove. I don't have to leave that on my kayak, so I can store that in the garage. Don't have to worry about it being stolen or anything like that. The housing is bulletproof. It's not painted. It's actually a heavy plastic, so it's not going to chip, anything like that. But it's also very watertight. So it's built for the harsh environment that we have in the kayaks. You can get more information about the Power Pole Micro and all of Power Pole's great products at powerpole.com.
With the day coming to a close and several black drum landed and released, it's time to head in. But their adventure is far from over. Tune in next season as Jim hooks up with anglers from around the world fishing for big fish, searching for big adventure and cool places, all from the seat of his Jackson Kayak.
We've had a great time down here in Florida and Levy County. We've also had a wonderful season fishing with all the great guys from Jackson Kayak. We're going to be back next season. I hope to see you on the water.
I had honestly forgotten that this was the last episode of season 5. So, as I said, we've had a lot of great seasons, 11 seasons on the air, and we will have episode again this coming Thursday, which will be from season 2, which is at Anglers in Mazatlan, Los Buzos Lake, fishing for largemouth bass, as well as going offshore or off the beach for roosterfish. So I hope you can join us. If, excuse me, if you are going out on the water, please remember, be safe. Like we talked about earlier about the lights, always wear your PFD and keep your paddle right side up. Y'all take care. We'll see you Thursday.
Whoa. Woo.